Hey everyone. I just want to take the time to introduce myself. I'm fairly new to the group, so I first wanted to thank Stacy for the opportunity. This is actually my first Facebook Live ever. So bear with me because this is all very new. I'm trying something new. And I wanted to thank my friend CEO for inviting me to the group. She said, I know this perfect parenting group that's aligned with how you parent and your message. And so I'm just very, very grateful to be here. My name is Candy Beers, as you know from Stacy's introduction. I'm a dance movement psychotherapist, and I specialize in parent-child interactions. I did some postgraduate work with Dr. Susie Tatura. So a lot of the stuff that I'm covering today is based on her work or directly from her work and Ways of Seeing. I'm a certified practitioner with her. And then while I was studying Ways of Seeing, I had my own baby, and I realized she wasn't sleeping very well. And despite all the things I know about infant mental health and early childhood, I got stuck in my head with all these other ideals about parenting, especially parenting around sleep. And I just wasn't sure what to do or where to go. Everyone else's opinions were swimming around. And so she said, oh, well, you need to contact Dr. Angelique Millette. And I did. And she is a sleep consultant who takes a very holistic picture of sleep, not your typical sleep consultant who offers a quick fix, but we look at early trauma and pregnancy, and we're all lactation consultants. So I studied with her for 2 years to become a sleep consultant, and I'm currently at Virginia Tech working on my PhD in human development family sciences. And in my lab, I look at nonverbal interactions between parents and kids. So that is where we're going to go today, with looking at how we respond to our child in an embodied way, and how self-awareness plays a role in attachment and different things. So welcome, everyone. I'm not sure how to know if people are joining me or not. I'm just going with the flow. So Stacy, if you're here, chime in. And feel free to help me out because this is all very new. So first, I wanted to talk about our generation of parents, whether we're 25 or 45. We're whatever age we are raising kids right now. We're the generation of parents who are just completely inundated with information. Oh, I see one person is on with me. We're the generation of parents who are just inundated from all areas, from books, from the internet, from well-meaning parenting forums, all of these things. We're inundated with information on how we're supposed to parent our child. And sometimes that's helpful. Sometimes the information we receive is aligned with how we want to raise our kids to begin with, and that gives us a sense of comfort. But often it creates a lot of unnecessary shame and self-doubt. So instead of us connecting with our child who is meant to be with us, otherwise we wouldn't have been brought together, we start to, sorry, there's something on my computer screen. We start to just get in our heads a lot about, oh, I don't know how to interact with my child right now because Dr. Sears says one thing and Janet Lansbury says another, and my parenting coach says one thing and my pediatrician says another. And so instead of entering the relationship with our child, we often get stuck in our head and start to question ourselves. So that makes me feel sad because I believe that all of us have an innate ability to parent our child. I believe that each parent-child duo is a perfect match. Otherwise, we would not have been brought together. We're learning from each other every day, whether it's just learning to see the world from a different perspective or learning something our soul has needed to learn for many lifetimes. Our children can provide that opportunity for us. So one of the things I like to focus on with my families is helping them create a sense of parenting identity. I often work with moms. They're the ones who call me first. So I might generically just term it maternal identity. So excuse me for any of the dads out there who are watching. So when we have a sense of maternal identity or parenting identity, it's less likely that we're going to self-doubt and second-guess ourselves. And our children can energetically pick up on that confidence. So it's a good thing to take the time in those early months to just recognize what are my values? What do I want this parenting journey to look like? Who is my child? And who am I at my essence? Who am I authentically? And tap into that rather than reading all of the books. Because what we know in early childhood and infant mental health is our questions about parenting lie within, well, the answers to the questions that we have lie within the relationship we have with our child. They're not going to be found in a philosophy or a book. They're going to be found within the relationship. Like I said, children pick up on when we have the confidence in our own innate abilities, and they pick up when we start to second guess ourselves and have some self-doubt. So I feel like I'm just rambling. And I have one friend back. So feel free to chime in with questions or anything that you're concerned about or confused about or want some clarity on. I'm happy to go there with you. So one of the things that kind of gets stressed in our generation of parenting is attachment. But with different philosophies about parenting, attachment, true attachment has gotten a little blurred. So secure attachment to your child does not happen by following a set of rules. It doesn't happen just by wearing your baby or sharing a family bed or extended breastfeeding or other things that are kind of out on social media that say, this is how to build secure attachment. Secure attachment, one of the number one indicators is a sense of self-awareness of the parent. So having awareness as to why we're responding to our child in a certain way, or having an awareness of, wow, this really feels kind of icky to me. What's going on with me? So having that sense of self-awareness is really the key to developing secure attachment. And even if our children develop another style of attachment, that doesn't mean it's an unhealthy thing. So it used to be thought that there was just secure attachment was the best thing and the other styles of attachment were not good, but it's just really how we relate to people. And you can have different styles of attachment with one child versus the other. And lots of things play into that. So just wanted to clear that up. So let's jump right into what self-awareness looks like on a body level. So if we take a little scenario of something that your child does really, really often. So it might be a behavior that we're constantly seeing. And as a dance movement therapist, and also just I think how I'm wired, because I am a dancer and I see things in movements and lines and energy. All behavior, no matter how much we like it or how much it bothers us, is communication. So some parenting philosophies or some well-meaning family members might label our child's behavior as negative or something that needs to be extinguished. There are all kinds of ways that can happen. But I want to offer another view of behavior. Behavior is communication. So behavior from a child is nonverbal communication, letting us know what they need, how they might thrive in another way. So if we look at that behavior with curiosity rather than a story that we have in our mind about it. And by the way, those stories can come from, I know someone else talked about cognitions and neural pathways and our subconscious. So we all develop different narratives and stories about our child and ourselves and our children's behavior. But looking at the behavior as communication, we want to step into this place of not knowing. So rather than going to our heads and trying to figure out something or how we're supposed to navigate it, we look at the behavior with curiosity and from this place of not knowing. So the first step in this is just witnessing the behavior, not feeling like we need to jump in and intervene, and also witnessing our own thought process about it. So witnessing those stories, witnessing our frustration, witnessing the labels we might want to give at our child at that time, and then owning that is, that's all of our stuff. That's all of our stuff coming up from this interaction, from this relationship that we have with a child. And parenting is really a relationship, a very dynamic one that we are involved in. And I don't know that parenting is often looked at as a relationship, but it is. It's a relationship with another human being, and that human being and us, we're gonna rub up against each other sometimes, and we're gonna complement each other sometimes. And so much of healthy relationships come down to being authentic and being honest and having compassion about our own behaviors and shortcomings, and also having compassion and understanding for the other person and giving them space for that. So back to witnessing. Like I said, I'm brand new at Facebook Live, so I have some ideas of what I want to talk about, but I wanted to just kind of flow with it. So witnessing is viewing that behavior with curiosity. It's becoming aware of all the stories we have in our minds about what the behavior might be. It's becoming aware of our own stuff that's in our head. The next step to observing your child's behavior with a sense of curiosity and from a place of not knowing is having an awareness of your kinesthetic sense. So that means, when I watch my child do this thing, am I holding my breath? Am I tensing my shoulders? Am I feeling a sense of discomfort in my gut? Does my head hurt? Do I want to cry? Is my face, shriveling up? Anything about the awareness of your body when you're observing your child. So, for instance, my daughter really likes it when I lie down to sleep with her, and I'm perfectly cool with that. So that's what we do. But some nights I just want to be out of there. I want to go work out, or I want to write an email to a client. And so I can feel my kinesthetic senses. I'm almost jittery, feeling like I just can't wait until she falls asleep so I can leave. And having that sense of awareness, I am able to say, okay, what do I need in the moment? I need to take a few deep breaths, or I need to be honest with my daughter and say, you know what, mommy is feeling a lot of energy in her body right now. I'm feeling like I'm not able to relax. And I know that you can feel that too. So I'm going to go take care of myself and do a little yoga or a quick stretch, or just take a couple deep breaths here beside you. But I need to take care of this so that I can take care of you. The next step with observing our child's behavior with curiosity and from a place of not knowing is literally trying the movement on. So if your child has kind of the signature move, the signature behavior that you're really curious about, and curiosity can come in the way of lots of things. Before it's curiosity, it might be, I just wish she would stop doing this, or it drives me crazy every time she does this, or why is she doing this? So let me just when the child is not around, or maybe when the child is around, you try on that behavior. You try on what it is that she's trying to communicate. And from that, we have a sense of kinesthetic empathy. So we can feel in our bodies what our child is trying to communicate. And it's a really cool thing to do. I do it a lot with clients. So for instance, I had this little girl in one of my dance classes who, she always sat in the corner and she never wanted to participate. So instead of, labeling her as a shy child, or, or having a story of like, I wish her mom would kind of push her to participate, or anything that might come up in my mind to make my life easier, I became curious. I became curious about what she's trying to communicate to me with her choice of sitting in the corner every day. So I witnessed my stories, and some of it was, she's interrupting my class, or what am I doing wrong? Why isn't she coming over here to participate? Do I need to change some things? And then my kinesthetic sense was just a little bit like, I just wanted to move around and kind of wiggle it out. And I felt a sense of just discomfort over my body trying to figure this out. But when I went to the corner and just tried on her movement with her, I felt a sense of calm. It was a very safe space for me to be. And from her perspective, from sitting there with her, I could see there was another child who had some sensory needs in the class, and he liked to touch everyone. So this child who was sitting in the corner actually created her own safe space. And so she was able to come out and participate when she felt safe enough to do so, but she also knew that she could go back to the safe space whenever she needed to. So, taking things from her perspective also led me to some awareness of other things that were happening in my class. And taking this, this kind of path, I don't want to call it a path of parenting, because I really like to stress having our own identity as a parent is so important, not only to our own well-being, but the well-being of our parenting relationship with our child. And we're also modeling to our children that believing in ourselves and having a strong sense of self, and belief, and like solidly standing in our power and our light is a good and healthy thing. So another example of kinesthetic empathy is I had this little boy who would always push things around with his head when we were playing. So dance therapy looks a lot like play therapy. There's very little dancing involved in dance therapy, but especially with kids. And he would push things along with his head all the time. And so I witnessed my stories about it first. And then I noticed my own kinesthetic sense was kind of feeling trapped or tight in my body. And when I tried it on, it was a lot of work. So as I was trying on his behavior, it made me think to ask his mom what his birth experience was like. And it turns out he had a very large head circumference, and he was stuck for hours in the birth canal. And so those early experiences, until we're verbal, get encoded in our brain as implicit memory, and they don't come out verbally, they come out through our behaviors and through our movement. So during our sessions, he was processing his birth experience and finding some success with it. So that kind of geeks me out to think about implicit memory and how our bodies are the ones that recall that, not on a conscious level, but it comes out through our behaviors. And as parents, all of those early experiences come out through our behaviors with our children. So just to back step a little bit, anything that we experience before we're verbal. So before we're age 2-ish, is going to be encoded on a body level. We're not going to encode it in a way that we can recall it verbally and talk about it later in our life. But it will come out in our behaviors, our interactions with other people. And doing body work is a great way to become aware of that. So as we're thinking about embodied parenting, there's a practice that is very lovely called authentic movement. And basically it is doing just that. It's moving however you need to in the moment. And it provides a space for us to get in touch with some of these implicit memories, but it also provides a space to just practice living authentically without judgment. So in this practice, there is a witness and there is a mover. The witness sits in the room completely open to whatever it is that the mover needs to do. So they're the non-judgmental witness of our behaviors, of our experience. And part of the practice of authentic movement is learning to embody this non-judgmental witness of our own behavior and our own journeys through life. So the mover moves with eyes closed for at least 12 minutes. That gives us enough time to kind of let our bodies move us rather than our heads move our bodies. And you can sit quietly for those 12 to 45 minutes, or you can run around and scream. It really is an invitation to be authentic in that moment. And after a person is done moving, they get to share their experience with the witness. So it could be whatever your body is trying to share. You can share that with the witness. And then if you want to hear from the witness, you get to say, hey, what was your experience with this? I want to hear that. And the witness shares his or her experience, but it's I statements. So anything that the witness is experiencing is about them. It's not about the mover. So it's a great practice to have that sense of ownership of your own experience and becoming curious about another person's movement. So two things about authentic movement is it's a great way to gain a sense of self-awareness about ourselves, about our early experiences in life, who we are, what makes us tick, how we want to navigate this life. And it's also a great practice for parenting because we get to practice being that non-judgmental witness of someone else's behavior and become really curious about it, but at the same time owning our own reactions to it. So in authentic movement, it's not okay to say as a witness, your movement was making me feel blah, 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 blah. Or you clearly felt angry. No, I, as the witness, felt a sense of anger in my own body, which could be completely aligned with the mover's experience or just my own stuff bubbling up in that moment. So for me, my maternal identity is parenting through the lens of authentic movement. So becoming curious about my daughter's behavior, about my kinesthetic sense of how I'm feeling when I see her do something that may rub up against me or something that might elicit, a really lovely memory of my own childhood, but owning that as mine and trying not to project it onto her. So I know this was supposed to be about 30 minutes, and we're right at 25. So I'm not sure if I have any live participants to ask questions, but if you are there and I just don't know it because this is new to me, feel free to chime in, and I'm happy to answer some of your questions. Just going to click around a little bit to see what's happening. Okay. All right, so it looks like I might be alone, which is totally okay. I think you guys can watch this later. I know not everyone is on the East Coast, so this is early for some folks, wherever you might be. It's 11:30 over here, or 11:25 over here in Virginia. So what I want to leave you with is just remembering the answers to all of your parenting questions are going to be found within the relationship you have with your child, and you get to go there. You get to be the one who gets to explore that and navigate it. And you know, parenting is sometimes really messy, and that's okay. There's something in there's a lot of research in early childhood development about something called mismatch and repair. So that's when we're not at our best, and we do one of those things that we're like, oh, man, I can't believe I just said that to her, or I can't believe I just did that. I swear I would never do that because my parents did it. Mismatch and repair is an opportunity to go to your child and say, you know what, mommy let her big feelings get the best of her, and I'm sorry, or whatever it is that you need to do to repair. And that helps our children learn, one, nobody's perfect, and that's pretty awesome. Two, when we do mess up, we show them how we cope with it and how we fix it. And three is letting them know that parents make mistakes. We're not always the one with the right answer. Sometimes our child is the one with the right answer. So your questions about parenting are found in the relationship you have with your child, and it's unique and it's awesome. Having a strong sense of maternal identity, your values, and also on a body level, your children pick up on that. They pick up on your sense of confidence, and it creates a space of trust and safety when we're not second guessing ourselves or having a lot of self-doubt. And Dr. Tatora's work is, entering that place of not knowing when we're parenting and not feeling like we have to have it all figured out. Feeling like we have to have it all figured out makes us get in our head, and we leave the moment. We start to think, oh, well, how would my pediatrician deal with this? Or how would my parenting coach say I should do this? Or how does a certain, like RIE parenting or attachment parenting or other philosophies say I should do this? It takes us out of the moment where we can truly witness our child and see their behavior as communication and information that will help us to navigate this journey together. So anyway, for those of you who joined me for a little bit, awesome. If you watch this later and you have questions, please feel free to contact me. I will write a little comment how you can do that. So my website is just my name, wendybeers-kin.com, and my email is wendy.beers@gmail.com. I own a business called Tuned Parenting, and I go through a lot of these steps with parents to help them feel strong in their identity as a parent and help them become curious about their journey as a parent, and also their child's nonverbal communication. So if anyone's in Salt Lake City, I will be presenting at the American Dance Therapy Association conference this year. I'm super excited. It's not until October, but I just worked on that proposal today, so I am feeling excited about it. But I'm talking about using dance movement psychotherapy through the postpartum period. So helping mothers heal from birth trauma, postpartum mood and anxiety disorders, things like that. And it's all movement and body based. So thanks so much, Stacy, and thank you, my friend Theo, for introducing me to this group. It pushed me to do my first Facebook Live, and it wasn't so bad. It was actually pretty awesome. So thanks so much. Have a good day.